Hey, we're gonna go up to the barn and see what activities I have left to do on it. So why don't you come on, stay tuned. Hello, welcome back to Pine Meadows Hobby Farm. I'm your host, Jerry Hansen. Why don't you join me as I go take care of a couple things up into the barn. I'm going to go ahead and store this wreath up there too. So let's do it. I got a couple of things from the thrift shop. I got a clock and I've got this Christmas wreath I thought would be ideal for my barn. That is cool. I really like that from the thrift store. Okay, let's go in and hang that clock. Okay, I get to hang that clock I got from the thrift store. I'm going to center it right about here. Okay. I got a fresh battery on this clock and I got it set to the correct time. So let's get this sucker mounted. Alright, there you go. Cool. Now I can tell the time out here because I don't wear a watch. The only time I get is a hair past a freckle. Oh, not bad. I enjoy the simple things in life and a little bit of the creative and quirky. That's me. So while we're in the barn, I'm going to show you a little bit about what's going on in here and what I have left to do. I've been cleaning out the side and picking things up and making sure that they're pretty much clutter-free out in the farmyard because we got rain coming starting tomorrow and I'm going to anticipate the mud. So thankfully I have everything done on the outside of the barn with the exception of the banister and rails that go out here on the front deck. Under the cover of the awning, if it rains I can still do some work. I have this rail here to mount right here. And that's for sliding barn doors. I've got 2 doors I have to yet to build. I still have yet to frame each door and put in the 2x6 railings or fencing that goes in here to divide each section. Primarily goats will be utilizing this facility. The pigs will have their own little shelters out here in the pasture. Another project I can do is put in the wiring out here on the under the cover of the awning. I got 2 LED marine lights that go out here, and I got to get some conduit because anything that's outside here exposed to the elements, I want to have it protected within solid conduit and have the lights protected on boxes, all the wiring, so I'm going to be mounting those. I still have to run down to the hardware store and grab those. And I have to install my secret project up there using this. It's a 8-foot long rail. Yep, just like that. It's stored up there right now. Get it out of the way. And we're going to utilize this block and tackle. And I couldn't find a suitable apparatus, but what that thing is for is to pull up hay bales. And those things are getting a little bit heavy for me to be able to hoist up there. So what I'm going to do is go down and buy some 2x10s and construct a ship ladder right here, so I can climb up there and access the loft, and that way it's not taking up a lot of room. So that apparatus that I couldn't find suitable enough to grab a hold of the hay bales and hoist them up, I found an alternative, and it's just one of these things You just clamp it onto a hay bale, hook this onto the hook, and lift it right on up. And then that track system, you just track it, slide it right on over to the loft. And that saves me from using some testosterone that I would otherwise have to use and hoisting those things up. Even though I got a couple of muscle fibers left. And I do have a keg. It's not a 6-pack, it's a keg. I also have to stock this with all my supplies that I repurchased and replaced from the barn fire. Like some of the medicines and other treatments, things, the hoof trimmer kits, the dehorner, and then also finishing installing like an inverter down here for the occasional use of 110 electricity that I'll rarely need out in the barn, but at least I want to have it available here. And the loft, I just have 2 more 2x4s to put up, and I have to purchase 3 sheets of plywood for the surface on which the hay will store on. And it'll be stable enough to be able to store heavy 50-pound bag feed bags up there for storage. And I hope that hook or some kind of apparatus I can figure out how to build, or should I say jerry-rig, to be able to put the feed bags on as like a clamp, to clamp onto it, lift it up, and put it in place. Yeah, I put a lot of thought into the design of this barn. The main structure is just the same old barn structure that I had previous, but I'm putting a little bit more detail and thought on the inside of the barn, borrowing from first-hand experience of having livestock in here previously. I also have to go down to the lumber yard and buy some quarter rounds, because I'm going to be filling in all the corners and seams where all the barn comes together with quarter rounds and trim to tighten it up a little bit, and then put some kind of a mop board around the bottom edge and paint that with the same kind of paint I used on the flooring here in the barn. I also need to get a bead of silicone seal along the floor on the drip guard and around the door on the outside, because when it rains, the rain will fall onto that deck and it may run underneath the wall and inside, and I want to try to keep the water out as much as possible, even though the plywood decking here is painted with a water repellent or resilient paint. And I do want to put a couple more coats on this because I'm just not satisfied with the amount that's on here. And another project to finish it off with is I want to build my stanchion back, kind of in the same style I had before, and also put a couple little gates in here to be able to go into each stall, and of course divide this area out into 2 sections for goats. In case I have one goat that kids, I can separate her from the other goats and allow her to have her privacy with her babies. So this barn is a little bit higher and 2 feet taller than the other one, so it gives me plenty of headroom so I don't bump my head on the loft like I did on the other one. This is nice. It's just tall enough for me, and not my son. He's a little bit taller than me. And then my daughter, unless she's wearing stilettos, she's going to bump her head on here too. So that's it. My little project barn coming to an end, and all the work that's left is on the inside, so I'm protected from the rain. It gives me something to do outdoors because I love being outdoors. Now I've just been spending the day cleaning up all the debris around the barn, because every build has debris that piles up, and I'm trying to get it sorted out and get you know, what's salvageable that I can use for another project into my resource pile, and centralize all my resource pile into one pile. I'm getting there, so I only have one place to go. I still have a few more things to move around, and then I have some stuff to move to the burn barrel. Some of you might recognize the burn barrel as being the feed barrel. I stored the livestock feed in this barrel in the barn, but it was ruined because of the fire. So now it's fire tempered, so I'm going to use it as a burn barrel. And when it's okay to start burning, we can go ahead and turn that stuff into ash. And if it's hardwood ash, I could treat the pond with it. Because my second most popular video on my YouTube channel is treating my pond with hardwood ash. The salts in the ash it has a chemical reaction with the water molecules, and it will kill the algae on the surface of the pond. I also have all the scrap metal leftovers from rebuilding the barn and other metals that were destroyed in the fire. We're going to go ahead and pile those into the back of the truck tomorrow and haul it to the recyclers. Along with this old wood stove that I am not going to be using. So that's what's happening as far as the completion of the barn goes. I will include you guys in on the little activities that I do when I get started on those little tasks of completing. I'm Jerry Hansen, your host here at Pine Meadows Hobby Farm. I want to thank you guys for showing up and joining me on this modern homestead as I learn how to homestead and share my adventures with you guys. You can follow me on social media. I'm on Twitter, Facebook, Pinterest, Reddit, Google+, and Blogger. Don't forget to share my videos. That helps out the channel a lot. And if you haven't, click that bell and that'll alert you to new videos as I upload them, like this one. I've got to get on my beekeeping equipment and go over and do some beekeeping next. We'll see you guys in the new videos. Bye-bye.